Hi, I'm Lisa Charters, and I work at KidsCan Press as head of marketing and digital. And many years ago at Random House, I worked with Adam very closely on the launch of many of our digital initiatives.
That's awesome. Thank you for being here, Lisa.
Wouldn't miss it. We've met a long time before Delvinia.
I was in high school, I think.
Yes, no, you were a little bit older than that, and it was the world of CD-ROM and multimedia when we first crossed paths, and that died quickly.
You were the visionary at the Canadian Book Publishers Council, if that's an oxymoron.
It was back then.
But
they didn't know what multimedia was. I spent most of the time saying, I think this is coming. I think it's coming. We better go.
we talked to this guy, Adam Froman, because he knows about CD-ROM
Yeah.
and multimedia.
Yes, and we belonged to the association together back then, too.
Yeah. When I went off in Deloitte and when I just started and then went to start Delvinia, we kind of lost touch until...
Alas, Delvinia came by.
And well, during that time, you went and became sort of the once again, the visionary in the book publishing industry for Random House in Canada.
Yeah, well, it was the beginning of Amazon.com and the beginning of books being sold online, and everybody needed a website. And so you were my friend who knew how to build websites.
Yeah, but that's when you came and sat down with me when you wanted to rebuild the website.
I know what you're going to say.
Recount that vision. Recount that story.
Well, the story is that we were talking about websites, and you said, we've got to start with the strategy, Lisa. We need to figure out who it is you're trying to target, why they're doing that, because if we can do that, then we can build much better websites.
That you wanted to create a holistic experience where you were able to ask some questions and integrate, which, that was pretty forward thinking. I think that was back in 2005?
Yeah, and that was just prior to, of course, social media.
Yeah.
So the ability to have conversations with your customers, and in this case our readers, was really pretty difficult to do. You had some reviews coming in on Amazon.com, but we really wanted to create a two-way dialogue, and you suggested that we could make the panel be that. It could not only ask them questions and give us feedback, but it could also allow them to speak to each other.
And what was really fun was it was the first time that somebody actually realized where our Delvinia digital experience side mapped with the Asking Canadians online data collection side in one holistic vision. Do you remember what the website that was really the site that you wanted to emulate? In your original proposal to develop the new book lounge?
Now I can't remember. Oh, yes, I do. Sting.
Yes?
It was the musician Sting, because I really liked him at the time, and they had built a really good loyalty website where you got extra things. You paid a little bit, but either way, it was extra access points to content that was specifically driven to you or for you as a VIP member, and that's what we started to build together.
But it's funny because the idea of everyone is bantering about being customer-centric and the customer experience, it was so, now that it's coming out, you must be laughing.
Well, I'm also laughing about content marketing,
right?
Which is also the other thing that of course with books is at the core of what we had lots of content, and so we were building content-centric websites, and now everybody talks about content marketing or editorial, content in their websites, and I sort of laugh thinking, we already did that.
From the work we did with you then in terms of rebuilding the Random House, the book lounge, and building that experience, tell us about how that work, is it still relevant today? Is your thinking still applying some of the stuff we did then?
I think that one of the things, and I've learned a fair bit of this within KidsCan, which is a part of Chorus Entertainment, is the need for research and information to feed your strategy. And that's the kind of things that we did with the book lounge that I now realize, stop guessing at what, doing a little bit of experience is great, but actually doing some research or getting some input before you make decisions on what you're going to build or how you're going to interact with your consumers was the thing that I learned the most about doing the book lounge panel with Delvinia.
So is there anything from the work that we did together on the book lounge that is still relevant to how you're approaching digital today?
Yeah, I think that, the term we used back then, which was a very big deal back then, was persona-based strategy or approach to it. And the strategy part, when you pulled us back and made me think about, who is it we're trying to connect with, and for what reasons, and what will they want out of the experience, and all of that resides very strongly with me.
What are you doing now in terms of the digital stuff and how you can apply sort of the work that you did then to Kids Can now?
Well, I think that, it's hard because it's still pretty compartmentalized. As much as digital is a component of everything now, it is still sort of apps and then books and then TV and then things. So we're working very hard, and right now at relaunching the Franklin the Turtle brand, and it's all about how do we do that simultaneously and in a very effective way across all of those channels. And so many of them being digital require so much more work, because you have to actually have constant contact and constant information and interactions with your consumers. Back then you could have a website that you updated every couple of weeks. Now you're expected on Facebook and other places to update every hour.
So thank you so much for sharing in our 15th anniversary, our reminiscing. It is interesting because you must have been 12 years old when we first met, but I think we've known each other 20 years now. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And congratulations to Delvinia. It's a great agency, and I look forward to working with you again.
Thanks, Lisa.